All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Frog Monkey. I am operating the BanklessDAO Twitter on behalf of BanklessDAO. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to attend this season 3 launch event. This is very exciting. This is the second time we've done a launch event. The first launch event was season 2. So thank you all for taking the time to be here. We have a lot to get through. So I kind of just want to jump right into things. This is going to be a really exciting event. And there's POAPs too. So a few administrative details, just kind of right off the bat. If you're on Twitter Spaces with us, you can actually look at a number of pinned tweets to this Twitter Spaces event. One of those pinned tweets will be sort of an admin thread. In that admin thread, there's an agenda if you would like to follow along. There's a Twitch stream if for some reason you're having problems with Twitter Spaces or whatever. There's a backup location. So Twitter Spaces does have a tendency to rug these spaces every now and then for whatever technical reasons. So if for whatever reason this Twitter Spaces does get rugged and it crashes, there is a link to a Discord server that you can join. We'll move there instead. But we'll still also be streaming on Twitch. So if for whatever reason Twitter doesn't like us, then we'll move over to that backup location. And there's also an after party. It's the same exact link as the backup location. It's also on Discord. So after this event is over, we'll just be vibing in Discord, just hanging out, chatting. We can talk about the event. We can talk about what's going on in the markets. We can talk about DeFi, we can talk about NFTs, whatever you would like. So feel free to follow along with the agenda as I had linked. And there are POAPs too. So this is exciting. We are distributing POAPs using one of our native bots that has been developed within BanklessDAO. So BanklessDAO, we have a bot called Dgen, which has been just phenomenal for distributing POAPs on Discord. And we've now added that functionality for Twitter as well. So there is a link in this Twitter thread. If you click that link, it'll basically ask you to send a tweet, or it'll ask you to send a tweet, and it'll ask you for certain permissions so that at the end of this event, you'll get a DM in your Twitter inbox with your claim link. Now, I will say that if you look at the permissions that Dgen is asking for on Twitter, it might come out as like a little bit like too many permissions, or a little bit like sort of overextending. But I can assure you that most of these permissions are not used. It's literally just the ability to send a tweet on your behalf and to send you a DM in your inbox. But the Dgen team is working on minimizing those permissions. And in case, for whatever reason, that doesn't work, there's also a Google form as well that you can fill out. And if for whatever reason Dgen is not able to automatically send you your POAP claim link, then we will go through the manual process of doing that. But there's 300 of you guys on the call, so we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that the Twitter distribution for POAPs will work. So those are some of the admin details. Thank you guys again. I will now pass it off to Ryan and David to sort of kick off this call and tell us, what their thoughts on BanklessDAO are, and whatever they have prepared, and then we'll dive into all the fun stuff, what we've done in season 2, what we have planned for season 3, and just highlighting 4 really, really cool projects that I think everyone will be excited about. So Ryan, David, floor is yours. Please take it away.
Well, hey everyone, it's Ryan here. Thanks, Frog. How you doing, David?
Oh, pretty good, Ryan. Friday morning. Not the markets aren't doing the thing that they were doing when we were talking about them yesterday on the weekly roll up. But
Oh wait, I haven't looked. Are they up or down? We doing okay?
No. They're up in spirit.
Doesn't matter. We're all gonna make it, right? That's what season 3's about. So we were asked by BanklessDAO to give some thoughts on what everyone is saying, what people are saying about BanklessDAO, and of course, in our travels through crypto Twitter and on the podcast, we meet a lot of interesting people and talk to a lot of interesting people. So you want to talk about that a little bit, David?
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to talking to people through that, I also talk to people out and about. I know you don't, Ryan, but when I'm out in my travels around my crypto conferences, the topic of Bankless DAO is a frequent one, because as people are learning about a DAO, Bankless DAO has generally become the exemplar model for how people can learn to wrap their heads around how a DAO works and what it does. And it definitely spawns more questions than answers. And I think that's kind of the state of DAOs, is rather than being able to tell exactly what a DAO is, you can use Bankless DAO as a model for the right questions being asked. And so I think lately, over the last few months or so, I've been personally able to use Bankless DAO as just a tool for illustrating kind of where we are in this part of the crypto industry. Every time there's something new in crypto, like, it comes with questions, not answers. And more and more able to use Bankless DAO to inform people as to what the right questions are to ask about how are humans going to organize moving forward. Why is a DAO necessary, and why is it different than just a group chat? And so that's kind of been my go-to conversation starter when it comes to DAOs, because most people just know about Bankless DAO the most. And so it's just a fantastic anchor for letting new people figure out what the hell's going on in this DAO space.
Yeah, it's like the place to send your friends, right? If they're trying to figure out, what a DAO is and why it exists. And the thing I'll emphasize too, David, is that, like, everyone we talk to is aware of the Bankless DAO.
Yeah.
It's like everyone we talk to, and they all have one thing in common, which is, I think they're all curious to see how this experiment is going to play out, right? So, like, the title of this when we were coming in is, what happens when you take a dozen people from consulting backgrounds, tech, marketing, strategy, communication? What happens when you take the entire Bankless community and you stick them in a DAO? That's what we're figuring out right now. It's like a big experiment. And I do think that in our niche of the crypto world, which is not yet mainstream, there are a lot of eyes on us right now. Like, we've got DeFi projects watching, we've got other DAOs watching to see what we're going to do next. We've got VCs and investors going, okay, like, how's this experiment going to work? So we're really a case study in so many ways. And I do feel like there's one of two ways the Bankless DAO community could take that. Like, the first is maybe on the negative side, we could get paralyzed by this. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stress. We have the eyes of the crypto world on the Bankless DAO at some level. And we could get paralyzed by that. But there's a second way, and I'm more optimistic that that's the path that we're choosing, which is, this really gives Bankless DAO the freedom to experiment. It gives us a ton of freedom to experiment because there's no pre-cut mold here. We can try new things. We can make mistakes. We can figure it out as we go. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what Bankless DAO is doing right now, is, like, there's a ton of freedom to figure this thing out. It's not a stressful, paralyzing environment. It's just like opportunity. That's what Bankless DAO is to me. And I do think the stuff that we'll figure out, the mistakes we make, will be an important, like, almost DAO historical moment, right? Like, if DAOs are going to be the new C Corps and the new LLCs, it's so cool to be part of a group that is forging forging the territory at the earliest stages of this thing, because I think it's going to be, historical and a case study that many people look to in the years to come.
As the crypto industry has grown out to beyond its reaches, farther than you and I have ever known it to before now. Like, the crypto industry, DeFi space, NFTs are so large now, and I think many people in here might remember not too long ago there was a tweet that I said about, because I didn't know who this guy Daniel Siesta was, and that caused a bunch of hubbub, but the DAO definitely did, and the DAO definitely was paying attention to all of his projects as they were in vogue in the crypto space. And so I've actually been using the DAO as like a acid test of what to pay attention to or not, because so many of those projects were in the GMI index, and so many of the Bankless DAO community were fans of those projects. I'm more and more able to use Bankless DAO as a way to gate for quality. and use them as kind of just like, because I'm just like, Ryan, I know this is true for you. Like the bull market is just absolutely exhausting. And if you try and pay attention to every single signal that's out there, it's just too much. You get overwhelmed. But the signal for what the Bankless DAO community produces, what they care about, has been just a fantastic way to make sure that when people ask me questions about like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I kind of use what the DAO pays attention to as just a way to anchor myself, to be able to have more informed questions and answers, because there's 5,000 people in the Bankless DAO with their collective intelligences all kind of pointing me towards what they care about and what they're interested in. And I think that goes it expands not just for me at Bankless, but also for the crypto industry at large, where there's too many signals, too much noise. So how do we know what's real? And I think the collective intelligence of Bankless DAO is really just a fantastic tool to know what to pay attention to and what not to.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. A lot of signal, and maybe the last thing I'll say, and then we can turn it over to Lucas and the rest of the agenda is, Dave. There's been so much talk about the metaverse recently, right? And of course, we have another podcast in the metaverse coming out, and there's a lot of worry about the metaverse too, particularly with Facebook getting involved and big tech. Like, there's this worry that it becomes dystopian and evil. And I definitely see that as one potential outcome. But the other thing I'm thinking of is there's another outcome that's maybe even more likely, and that it's not evil. It's just like bland. It's just boring. Okay, like we were talking about that Wall-E, that movie from Wall-E, where the humans are just like doing nothing with their lives. They're just kind of like lazing around on this starship, and they've let the Earth go to crap, and they've lost their meaning. And I worry that, like, in the metaverse, the bigger threat is maybe we just become conduits for Facebook ad farms. We're just like all mindlessly clicking links to feed serotonin and endorphins. It's all junk food. And I do see that Bankless DAOs might be the antidote for this, because the metaverse, the digital world, is completely inevitable. Like, humanity is going there, whether we want to or not. That is the direction we're headed in. But when I go into the Bankless DAO, I feel something different. I feel a sense of community. I feel meaning. And that's what's so fundamental that we preserve in the metaverse is meaning. And I do think we find meaning collectively as a community. And that's what I love about it. I love that this is a weird experiment. I love that we're doing this all together, that we're doing it socially. I'm sitting here with my DAO Punks shirt on, right? It's like, it's just awesome. It's really fun to be part of this movement, and it gives me a lot of meaning in the crypto space too. And I love that Bankless DAO. I love that crypto is making the internet weird again. It's more fun, it's more human, and yeah, we're playing a big role of that. I'm really proud of what this group is doing. So, with that said, maybe we'll turn it to the rest of the agenda. And I just have one more thing to say, which is onward to season 3. Let's do this.
Onwards to season 3, indeed. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, David. Something that you said about that really resonated with me was, the idea that like DAOs are really something new, right? They're really unexplored territory. And one of the things that people are asking is, how do you get started in a DAO? How do you contribute in a DAO? And so to speak about that, I want to invite the site guy to talk about his experience. He joined the DAO last season, and just a phenomenal rise to being a leader within the community just from a couple of months of joining as a guest, earning his way into that membership tier and being a leader in various niches within the DAO as well. So, site guy, please tell us about your experience.
Hey, mic check.
Yep, you're good.
All right. So GM friends, this is the psych guy. If the name does not already give it away, I'm a psychology graduate student from a Southeast Asian country. I come from a place of constrained resources, and earning a living through the internet was not a very viable option for me before. During one of our discussions, one of my friends, God bless his soul, introduced me to BanklessDAO by sharing the Discord server link. He asked me to join the group, and I was a bit hesitant because I knew nothing about crypto whatsoever, but I took the leap of faith, and I'm glad I did. As with everything, there was initial confusion. Discord was not very intuitive to me, but I noticed how BanklessDAO operated. Guilds were pools of talent that worked on projects. A level 1 member was someone who had 35,000 bank in their MetaMask wallet, and a level 2 member was someone with 35,000 bank and demonstrated contribution. I was pleased that BanklessDAO did not limit contribution opportunities to people with bank, as newbies like me could avail a guest pass graciously given by the L2s to new members. Thanks to the various talent coordinators and project leaders I worked with, I managed to hit 35,000 bank in less than 2 months and was soon nominated for an L2 position. Today, I'm a full time contributor at BanklessDAO. I map out the guilds and projects I am associated with on Sobol and keep track of our members. Think of it as a Web3 social graph. I became a talent coordinator for the Education Guild, and I am proud of being a writer and editor at the Writers Guild. I think Bankless is one of the most user friendly DAOs you can be a part of, especially if you're a beginner. There are dedicated talent coordinators that we have from each guild holding office hours and one on one calls to clarify doubts. If you are new in the Bankless DAO, definitely hop on to as many calls as you can and we'll take it from there. If you are yet to join, well, now would be a good time. That would be all for me. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Lucas, can you get Paul up here?
Yeah, it looks like he's connecting.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, there he is.
Perfect.
Paul,
Yeah,
you
so
have the stage, sir.
we heard a bit about sort of the user side, right? Sort of the human experience of what it's like to join, what it's like to start contributing, and just how simple it is if you have sort of the time and the sort of grit to surf through all the noise of Discord, just how many opportunities there are, and to reflect sort of those opportunities. I want to take a look at some of the data as well. So our analytics guild has put together sort of a short presentation for what Bankless DAO looks like when you look at it from a data perspective. So Paul, please tell us what you got.
Thanks, Frog. Good morning, everyone. GM. Before we get started, real quick reminder, there's a thread pinned to this space. If you want to jump straight to the full slides, you can go right at the bottom of the thread. It's also pinned on my Twitter profile. So one of the challenges at Bankless DAO is answering the question of how do we track the growth of an internet native open system at scale, right? How do we track DAO growth? And while there's like no one single metric that can tell the full story, as we launch into season 3, I want to share with you 5 themes that have captured how we've grown over the last over season 2, right? And those themes are engagement, governance participation, capital allocation and coordination, community recognition, and membership, right? So if we look at engagement, there's several metrics, right? We want to look at how many new members are joining, where they're coming from. Towards the end of season 1, we saw a sharp rise in new members joining our Discords, and that was through personal invites from our existing community members. In season 2, we averaged more new members per week, but more exciting, we began to have organic discovery of our Discords in December, right? Our total Discord membership has continued to climb up and to the right, at this point exceeding 15,000 members. And not only did we average more new members in season 2, we also activated them faster, right? So we create space for people to speak up, express their ideas, participate. So those numbers are shooting up above the benchmark, the 20% benchmark, thanks to our onboarding efforts. So shout out to the First Quest team for that. Our retention has stayed above benchmark with a slight dip over the holidays. But nonetheless, it's encouraging given that we had more new members in season 2. It generally takes time for people when they first hit the Discord to get their bearings, find their way around, to transition from being a passive visitor to an active communicator. So our numbers in this regard has traditionally been below the benchmark, but we're seeing those numbers rise towards the end of season 2. We had more total messages in season 2, but the average number of message per person has dipped. And perhaps that's offset by the sheer increase in speaking minutes, right, from season 1 to season 2. So in total, it means that the Bankless DAO members, new and old, are literally finding their voices, right? Finally, going beyond Discord, we also have community calls And every week we hand out POAPs to community calls. So we want to see how many people are claiming POAPs per each of the community calls as a way of engaging, of measuring engagement, right? And so we have an average of 234 people claiming each of the community calls. And so that's really exciting that we're growing. You'll have to excuse some of the missing data that we have on this particular slide, but I've been to most, if not all, of our community calls, and I think we pretty easily exceed 234. It's not just about the engagement, though, in Discord, right? We want to see how many people are participating in governance. So let's look at our snapshot votes. If you go to the next slides, you're going to see all of our snapshot proposals dating all the way back to Genesis back in May 2021, right? The dotted line on this particular slide shows the average number of votes per proposal at 484 votes per proposal. Out of the 23 completed proposals, 10 exceeded the average number of snapshot votes. Our voting numbers are down, however, in season 2. If you look at the bottom of the slide here, with the exception of one particular proposal around Tokamak and getting our own reactor, that proposal received a lot of enthusiastic participation. So the challenge for BanklessDAO is how do we get the community excited about all snapshot proposals? And this is the challenge ongoing in our industry, but I'm confident we're going to figure it out how we get there. Even as we speak right now, there are efforts underway to make sure that we solve some of our governance challenges. So hopefully that includes raising participation rates in the snapshot votes. In the long run, though, for sustained growth, we want to look at how we're allocating and coordinating capital, right? We have two mechanisms for doing this. We have our grants committee as well as our bounty board. In the next chart here, you're going to see that our grants committee has distributed funds to various projects and guilds. You'll see that most of the projects that received funding in season 1 got a bump in season 2, right? Additionally, there were many new projects that only appeared in season 2. In season 1, we had 26 guild projects that received funding. In season 2, that number shot up to 33. And you can see in the pink nodes on the Sankey graph here of all the new projects that appeared in season 2. So our grants committee has worked really hard to help the community vet quality projects and allocate capital responsibly. We also have, in addition to that, the bounty board, right? And this is the tool that allows the community to directly coordinate capital and talent, right? The number of bounties that have been created to get certain tasks accomplished has gone up by 72% from season 1 to season 2. The total value of bank committed to bounties has increased by 216% in season 2. So we're continually getting better at distributing, coordinating capital, and that means there's going to be more and more ways to earn at BanklessDAO. So, while it's important that we make sure that our contributors get paid, it's also important that the community has a way of recognizing each other's contributions, each other's values. That makes for a healthy community, right? Our mechanisms for doing this include the coordinate rounds as well as tipping. So let's look at some of those numbers. We're seeing that in season 2, the number of give tokens distributed in the coordinate rounds has gone up by 121%. We're seeing greater participation in these coordinate rounds with 52% more senders and 15% more receivers in season 2. On the other hand, we have seen a fall in tipping. One could argue that with all of the formalized channels for earning at BanklessDAO, it might obviate the need for having tipping. But if you ask any newcomers that come to our community, receiving a tip from something that you do is highly validating as well as motivating. And I personally think that it's a particular charm of BanklessDAO to have a rich tipping culture. We had a proposal in season 1 that was designed to boost these numbers. So that's something that we might look at for season 3. So finally, with all the ways that we have for our members to earn bank, formally as well as informally, let's take a look at our membership categories. We're seeing an uptrend from season 1 to season 2 in the number of people who hold 1 to 35,000 bank, and that's the threshold for formal membership, right? This means that there's a steady influx of people seeking to accumulate bank, to earn bank, to gain membership status. This is the positive thing, because we at BanklessDAO continue to welcome new joiners. In fact, we actually have a couple of new joiner sessions this month. We're always looking to help new joiners turn into visitors, turn into communicators, turn into active contributors, right? On the other hand, for people who have achieved at least 35,000 bank, the numbers in terms of L1 as all the way to the whales has tend to level off, has tend to plateau. So, some of this is influenced by market conditions, token prices, and whatnot. And certainly, this week hasn't been the best for markets. But as my friend and colleague Ice Cool like to say, it isn't the price in the charts; it's the price in your heart. Joking aside, and fair warning, we tend to throw a lot of dad jokes at BanklessDAO. We are hoping to see these numbers rise as contributors become long-term contributors. So, how do we do? Right? How do we sum up our progress in season 2? In terms of engagement, that's gone up. Governance participation, we need to work on that. That's an area that we need to improve. Capital allocation, coordination, that's gone up. More projects are getting funded. More resources are being doled out to the community. Community recognition, that's a mixed bag, right? That's up in coordinate rounds, but down in tipping. And then membership, that's up and flat, right? Up in terms of below 35K and flat above 35K. So that's BanklessDAO. That's where we are in our evolution. It certainly takes a whole DAO to produce the data that you've seen today. So I want to take a quick moment to shout out the teams that are continuing to build day in, day out. Shout out to the Dowdash team, which is currently, you're going to hear about shortly. Shout out to the project teams, Bounty Board, the DGen team, the Content Gateway team that has created the APIs for some of our data sources. Kudos to our builders, and thank you all for your attention today.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I think the main takeaway is that BanklessDAO continues to grow, right? There's something that whenever I end a call, I like to say,
Did we lose Frog there?
Yeah, we just got rugged.
when I end a call, when I'm on a Discord call, I like to say that, I'll see you guys in the halls of Discord. And it really does feel like that sometimes, right? There are so many people that are joining and contributing and providing value that it's impossible to keep track of everyone. And that's pretty beautiful, right? You have these like micro ecosystems within guilds, within projects, all that have their own culture. And it's just, seeing that reflected in the numbers in terms of growth, it's very encouraging that we're sort of headed in the right direction. And speaking of headed in the right direction, I want to pass it over to Lucas now to sort of talk about all that we've accomplished in season 2, which is guys, be prepared. It's pretty incredible, and this is only a sampling of what we have time to actually talk about. There's so much more that we did in season 2 than what Lucas is about to sort of drop. But with that, Lucas, how do we do this season?
Yeah. Thank you, Frog, for the intro. This is about to be an absolute fire hose of information. I'm going to try my best to synthesize and recap kind of what the community did in season 2. As Paul alluded to, thank you for the amazing insights there. There's tens of thousands of people in the BanklessDAO, so trying to recap all of this is really tough. And there's dozens and dozens of projects, each with their own community cultures and all that. But with that, I will try and synthesize everything into the next 10 minutes. If you want a more detailed kind of insight, I published a Twitter thread earlier this week. It's pinned at the top, so feel free to read through that if you're interested in getting like the full breakdown. But in season 2, we started off on a really strong note. Our friends over at Forefront published a social token report and highlighted that Bank was the most widely held social token. This was ahead of our friends with benefits at FWB. And since then, the token holders have grown by another 20% since the report in mid-October. So we've just been seeing a lot of steady growth just across the board within BanklessDAO. But another major milestone, and I was really stoked about this one, was our partnership with Olympus Pro and the launch of bonding. So for those unfamiliar, Olympus Pro allows you to sell LP tokens to a treasury in return for discounted tokens. So in this case, anyone can sell the Bank ETH SushiSwap LP tokens to the BanklessDAO treasury in return for discounted bank tokens. And this has two major benefits. So the first one is it obviously helps deepen market liquidity as there's an incentive to provide liquidity, but it also importantly helps diversify the treasury with a revenue generating asset. So we think this is a really important building block for not only BanklessDAO, but really all DAOs in the future, and this idea of protocol owned or DAO owned liquidity. So we've just been stoked to work with Olympus Pro on it. And since we've launched that in, I think, late October, early November, we've acquired nearly $600,000 in revenue generating liquidity. A majority of that is in SushiSwap, but we also recently just launched the Balancer BTT tokens. So if you're interested in participating in this unique program and helping diversify the BanklessDAO treasury, you can just head on over to pro.olympusdao.finance, and you'll find the BanklessDAO bonding mechanism there if you're interested. With that, we also, early October, we also saw the DAOpunks launch. So this is one of the first major sub-DAOs that spun out of BanklessDAO. And this is a unique NFT project helping people quit their corporate gigs and propagating this culture of F corporate and go full-time DAO in Web3. And these sold out in the pre-sale, generating about 88 ETH in total sales. A lot of that went to the BanklessDAO treasury. And with that funding, they launched a scholarship program to help people make that jump from corporate life to DAO life. And they also launched probably the coolest and most unique merch drop that we've ever seen. So I think Ryan actually just tweeted this out a few minutes ago, but essentially every DAOpunk has a claim on a one-of-one shirt of your DAOpunk with a QR code linking to your wallet. So this is a really unique project that we just really just displays and is a testament to the level of innovation and work that some of the communities within BanklessDAO are just pushing towards. We're really stoked on it. I think a lot of PFP projects, a lot of these major NFT projects are going to adopt this, and we're really stoked to help kind of generalize this functionality and onboard more projects to leverage this really cool merch drop that we haven't really seen yet. Outside of DAOpunks, BanklessDAO, we're also super well known for the media side. I think a lot of people recognize BanklessDAO as a media DAO. Obviously, we're a little bit more than that, but in season 2, we started 3 new media publications. So the first one was State of the DAOs, and this was a high signal, low noise DAO focused newsletter trying to cover all the developments within the DAO ecosystem, not just BanklessDAO. We also launched Decentralized Law, so the legal guild. We have some of the top lawyers in the legal guild. I think one of our members just got hired to work at Luna recently, and they work week in and week out to help publish and cover the legal space. So they're breaking down the Web3 legal area, and it's been surprisingly really popular among a lot of the legal community in crypto. And then the final one, and might be my actual favorite one, is the Rug. So this is the crypto satire publication. One of the guys at HQ, Michael Wong, has been leading this effort, and it's actually probably the funniest thing I read on a weekly basis. And they take a really interesting Web3 native route on monetizing it. So they sell NFTs of the publication every time they send out an issue. So yeah, we're really stoked on the media publications. We've seen steady growth. So subscribers in season 2 have increased by nearly 70%. We're now averaging around 10,000 views per post at a 41% open rate. If you know anything about running a newsletter, over 40% open rate is insane. And we consistently are able to do that week in and week out, despite multiple newsletters publishing multiple times a week. So I think it's just a testament to the level of quality that BanklessDAO is producing. And if you want to check out any of these newsletters that we have, head over to banklessdao.substack.com, and you can sign up, and you will kind of get a newsletter about 3 times a week. And if you're interested in checking out the Rug, just check them out at the Rug News on Twitter to get some good laughs and some good satire there. In addition, on this media front, we also announced the podcast Incubator program. So we're working with 3 up-and-coming hosts to help bootstrap and launch their own podcast. Disclosure, one of them is Gitcoin founder Kevin Owocki. So these are some heavy hitters, and we're covering a range of stuff. I think Kevin is focusing on regenerative or crypto regenerative stuff and like public goods and all that fun stuff that Kevin Owaki is well known for within the community. Pretty early with this, but stay tuned. And yeah, a couple episodes have already been recorded, so I'm sure we'll drop those episodes pretty shortly. Moving away from like media, we have a lot of focus on education. So in season 1, we launched the Bet Index. So we partnered with the Index Coop to launch a very simple, easy, one-click way to invest into crypto. In season 2, we expanded on that partnership and partnered with the Index Coop again to launch the Bankless DeFi Innovation Index, the GMI. And we went full freaking degen on this and launched it with a range of awesome programs. So single-sided staking, we went with some unique LP incentives where people are getting the streaming fees, claims on merch, GMI tokens. We also launched a really unique merch drop, very similar to DAO Punks, where you get an NFT with your merch. And we also launched on a multi-chain basis. So we went with Polygon as well. Ben and Peter, who are two of the methodologists along with myself, are some of the best minds in crypto. And I'm serious when I say Ben is thinking around the clock on how to make this the best index humanly possible. And Alpha, there's going to be yield on yield on yield. We're going to do DeFi integrations. We're going to make sure that this index stays on top of it with the newest and the best assets in DeFi. If you're interested in kind of learning more about this, just head on over to the indexcoop.com/GMI, and hopefully you're going to make it. Similarly, on the educational front, we also had Bankless Academy. So this is our premier suite or our premier platform for helping the world onboard into crypto and learning about like DeFi and all of that. So this is a really easy way for people to go 0 to 1 on crypto. This will teach you how to get your first non-custodial wallet, teach you the basics of DeFi, how to lend on Aave, all those fun stuff. And I heard that they're launching the full beta at the beginning of the month, or at the end of the month, excuse me. So stay tuned for that. On top of all of that, we also, I'm talking my mouth off right now, but yeah, so we also have a team working on DAO tooling. So Degen is one of these awesome Discord bots that we have. And the Degen bot is actually going to be the one that's distributing POAPs later today on the Twitter Spaces. But this is a suite of Discord bots made to help automate like administrative tasks for the DAO. And as I mentioned, one of the core features is automated POAP distributions. If you've ever tried to distribute POAPs, you can know that it's kind of a pain. We do it on a monthly basis from BanklessHQ, and I can tell you it is sometimes a nightmare, but we're working on integrating Degen to kind of help streamline that functionality. And yeah, as I mentioned, we're launching a new feature with Degen today, so you will be able to claim your POAP. If you're in this Twitter Spaces, just follow the admin thread that we have pinned at the top. And I think the second or third tweet will kind of run through how to do that. I'm going to keep going. Just one more. We got a ton of merch. So Michael Wong, who's also behind the rug, helps lead our MetaFactory partnership. And in season 2, we had 2 epic merch drops there. We had the We Gon' Make It WGMI Money Lego hoodie, which sold out a ton of copies. So I'm stoked to go to the ETH Denver in a month and just see everyone rocking their Bankless merch there. We also had the bed constellation. So this is inspired by the bed index, and it launched with like a constellation, socks, and blanket, cozy little merch drop for everyone. Both of these drops did extremely well, and we're working on deepening that relationship with MetaFactory. We actually had a call last week and ran through the 2022 roadmap, and I'm going to tell you right now that it is absolutely fire. We are 100% propagating crypto culture with this merch. If you've ever been to a crypto conference, people are always rocking Bankless merch, and that is all due to Michael Wong and our MetaFactory merch team that are working around the clock to just create the best merch in crypto right now. If you want to stay up to date with that, just sign up to the Crypto Culture newsletter, or you can just follow BanklessDAO or BanklessHQ on Twitter, and we're pretty good about notifying when we do those drops, usually about once a month. And I am talking way too much. I think I'm probably getting close to time here, but there's so much activity that is just happening within BanklessDAO. And as I mentioned at the top of my little rant here, if you want to get the full breakdown or at least a sample of what's going on, just check out that Twitter thread that's pinned at the top. to get a better idea. But really, at the end of the day, this is just scratching the surface. As Paul alluded to, we have tens of thousands of members, dozens of communities working around the clock, kind of doing their own thing, making their own communities, spinning out their own projects. And it's really just amazing to see what happens when you just incentivize a community with ownership. It's seriously like truly incredible. And I'm just like extremely bullish on social tokens as a whole, not only BanklessDAO, and just what happens when you incentivize a group of people with ownership and just the level of, you know, what they can achieve. So with that, I'll stop talking now. I'll hand it off to Frog to kind of dive into season 3, what's expected ahead, and then we can highlight some of the new projects that got off the ground in season 2 as well. So with that, Frog, back to you, my man. Thank you for bearing with me through that rant.
No, man. Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, I said this last time that we did this. It's not fair to ask you to cover all of the previous season in 10 minutes. It's just impossible, right? I mean, Lucas talked quite a bit, but you know, they're just as he was talking, I was listing things that he missed, right? Or not missed, but didn't have time to cover. Crypto Sapiens, the bank white paper, Fight Club, which we don't talk about, Flipper's own NFT tool, tax consultancy, IRL events. These are all things that like we're still doing behind the scenes. And people in the DAO are working towards, and this is just all we had time to really highlight. So, I mean, when I say Bankless DAO ships, I mean, guys, we really ship, man. But those are all things that we did in season 3. I want to look ahead into those are all things we did in season 2. I want to look ahead at season 3. So season 3 started January 10th. So about like 11 days ago. And instead of talking about like individual projects, I want to talk a little bit more broadly and conceptually about sort of what's in the store for season 3. And the main theme for season 3 is evolution, right? So before we get there, when you're building a company, when you're building an organization, whatever, there's this concept of working in the organization versus working on the organization, right? When you work on the organization, you're building systems, you're building processes, you're thinking through long-term strategy. When you're working in the organization, you're actually implementing those processes, you're implementing those strategies, you're actually working towards actualizing the goals that you've set for that organization. And so in season 0, right, this was sort of the 2 months prior or 2 months after BanklessDAO launched on May 4th, 2021, all we did was work on the organization. There was nothing to work inside. We didn't have projects. We didn't have guilds. Yeah, some people kind of got together and did some cool stuff, but all of us would just sort of sit in these Discord chats and talk about how do we do governance? How do we do coordination? How do we compensate ourselves, right? And we spent a lot of time working on the organization and building out the infrastructure that in later seasons we would operate on. And so that when season 1 and season 2 came along, that's when we actually worked in the organization, right? We fleshed out guilds, we onboarded new members, we issued grants, we started generating revenue, and all of us were heads down focused on our individual niches within the DAO. And so as season 3 comes around, our focus is now both working in the organization and working on the organization. Now, it's difficult to work on the organization while you're working in the organization, because if you're really like heads down focused on building and implementing things, it's difficult to sort of like take this high level view and look at what needs to change. But we've grown so much, BanklessDAO has scaled so much that our original sort of coordination mechanics are starting to buckle under the pressure of all these new variables that we didn't account for, we couldn't think of when we first built the rails and the infrastructure for BanklessDAO. And so we're getting to the point where, you know, we need to take a step back and look at you know, reinventing some of the processes, some of the protocols, you know, some of the like core mechanics of what allows us to function efficiently, what allows us to govern ourselves, you know, how do we prioritize, right? But at the same time, we can't stop, right? We can't all just like, you know, step on the gas, the brake, and be like, okay, we're going to stop shipping stuff. We're going to we're going to go take a step back, take a high level view, and rethink how we organize ourselves. So we can't do that because we're shipping, right? We have obligations, we have priorities, we have momentum. And so the theme for this season is evolution, in the sense that we are going to work in the organization while working on the organization. And that's not easy, right? So I guess a bit more tangibly, what does that mean, right? So working in the organization, sort of off the bat, right, at the start of season 3, we've funded 16 projects for around 11 million bank, right? At the start of season 3, we've funded 16 projects for around 11 million bank. We funded 12 of our guilds. Guilds are sort of these talent collectives. We have a writers guild, we have a developers guild, design guild, AV guild. We funded 12 guilds for around 8 million bank. We have a grants committee, right? So these are projects that we fund during the season. If there are new ideas that are brought up within the span of a season, we have 7 million bank allocated for that. And then we have 4 million bank allocated for sort of contributor incentives, right? So this is all funding to keep the engine going, to keep the DAO shipping new things, building on existing things, and just growing our ecosystem of products and services and sort of reach. But while we do that, we also need to, like I said, take a step back and look at some of our more pressing problems, things that one person can't just sit in a room and solve by him or herself, right? And so we tried to do some of this stuff in season 2. We had some pressing problems, these sort of looming existential threats, but we didn't have the right incentives or the right signal to actually sort of make progress on them. And so sort of the big push for season 3 is this program called the Governance Solutions Engineer Program, right? So the idea here is we have 2 important problem spaces that we need to learn to resolve in order to keep growing and not, and growing in a sustainable way, right? The first problem is strategic prioritization. So I think with a lot of DAOs, one of the first, things you'll start to realize is that it's really difficult to say no to something in a DAO because there is very little cost to saying yes. And in fact, there is a social cost to actually saying no. So the question is, how do we as a DAO learn to say no? How do we do this in a way that actually empowers the community to make decisions, but also lets high context individuals sort of influence the outcome, right? How can we design a sort of DAO-wide strategy where we can learn what do we actually need to fund, why are we going to fund it, and how does the community get to engage in this process, while also allowing for people that have a lot of knowledge of the DAO, people that have been around for a while, people that have the right skill sets, to also have a say in that process. The second problem space is, contributor alignment. So how do we properly reward active DAO members, right? There are a bunch of different skill sets that people have. People are committing, some people are committing a few hours, a week. Some people are committing 40 hours a week. How do we sort of differentiate and, I guess, not only compensate, but recognize people for the commitment that they're making? And these are 2 problem spaces that we have. When we originally worked on the organization season 0, we, theorized a little bit, but as we grew, there were more and more challenges that we had not accounted for. And so now we need to go back to the drawing board and fix these problems so that we can continue to scale BanklessDAO as an organization. And so, that's going to be hopefully a big focus for season 3, is redefining the way that we operate so that we can grow sustainably and not burn ourselves out, both in terms of the talent and the resources that we have, but also the funding that we're allocating. So that's what I mean by, evolution, right? Because I'd say season 3 is our most ambitious season yet. If we come out on top, I think we'll go through a massive shift in how we coordinate and how we focus without skipping a beat on our ability to ship great products with great teams and great ideas. And so with that, just a quick asterisk there. If you have any bank, we're actually voting on the Governance Solutions Engineer program right now. It's live on Snapshot. So if you go to snapshot.com/ or .org/Bankless Vault, BanklessDAO Vault, you can actually vote on this right now. So if you're interested in this Governance Solutions Engineer program, if you think it's a sort it happens on Twitter, it happens on Discord. So you can check out Snapshot. You can check out the program if you're interested. Please go ahead and vote. Governance is everyone's responsibility. And speaking of some of these sort of the ability to ship amazing products with amazing teams and great ideas, I want to spend the next about 20 minutes or so going through 4 different projects, which have started in season 2 and have just grown and exploded in attention and growth and productivity. So we're going to go through these 4 projects. Those are the International Media Node Program, Dowdash, Bankless Consulting, and the Bankless Mobile App. So to kick things off, I want to pass it off to Ornella to talk about the International Media Node Project.
Thank you, Frog. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I want to talk about the beautiful project that is the BanklessDAO International Media Nodes. First, I would like to remember, what is the BanklessDAO mission? It's basically something very important to always have in mind. We will help the world go bankless by creating user-friendly on-ramps for people to discover DeFi technologies through education, media, and culture. Now, culture, this is a very important thing. There's so many cultures around the world, so let's just stop a second right there to think about how we can actually do this. It's not possible for BanklessDAO to onboard the next billion people into crypto without expanding the Bankless message into many other languages. Did you guys know that only 5% of the global population speaks English? To bridge the gap to the remaining 95%, the International Media Nodes Project offers a great solution. The project consists of diverse groups of entrepreneurs, translators, and content creators from many, many different parts of the world. In the first 2 months, 16 nodes in different languages have sprung up, and in total, there are more than 100 weekly active contributors. By translating, creating, and distributing more than 100 content pieces a month in their native languages, the IMN project has been able to attract more than 20,000 followers through all social media channels combined. Now, it's always important to go a little bit back to the past and travel into the deep memories of season 0. The IMN project was brought to life by a group of independent node operators. Initially, Bankless France and Czech started gathering communities, and they were then followed by Bankless Brazil and Hindi. They started creating content, and with that, communities started forming and coming along. Everyone started building together permissionless, in true DAO spirit and without expectations of any funding, just for the passion towards the Bankless mission and vision. Now later, during the season 2, the members of the Translations Guild recognized that there was a need, a very important need, to make all of this great content visible, and they all got together to make a proposal for their creation, publication, and a proper distribution of everything that was going around. Now, today, we are happy to share that there are 16 active nodes in the following languages and/or countries: France, Brazil, Czech, Espanol, Chinese, Farsi, Hindi, Turkish, Ukraine, Sweden, Bulgaria, Dutch, Italia, Adria, Greek, and Vietnam. There are more than 100 members contributing on average 5-10 hours a week. Now, how does the IMN actually work? What do we do? Since the IMN is the official publishing entity for Bankless content, each one has a very independent organization that includes a publishing team, contributors, and a workflow. Some have come a really long way and have a big team, like Brazil, but some are just starting. They're very small, but they're also growing. so you're more than welcome to participate. As they say, once you start building, they will come, and so it has been. Communities are forming around all IMNs all over the world, with the spirit of the Bankless mission in their hearts. The weekly roll-up and decentralized arts newsletters have been the main content translated in all nodes, but others have grown tons and are actively also translating decentralized law and state of the DAOs. What's even better is that now nodes are producing their own podcasts and YouTube videos to explain many different crypto concepts, and that as a media DAO can't make us more proud. The combined audience of the IMNs grew from 10K to almost 14K in October, 17K in November, and 20K in December. That's 100% overall growth in 3 months. Can you guys imagine how much the community around that can grow? I'll leave that up to you. The IMNs have also become a natural part of onboarding and the first point of contact with crypto and DAO culture for many non-English communities. That is something really huge. Now for season 3, the goal of the nodes is to increase its overall reach to about 50K across all nodes and platforms, and to be able to generate at least $10,000 worth of revenue for the nodes from external resources, which part of that will be going back to the BanklessDAO treasury. It's always important to give back. We're excited since the IMN is and will be the spark that fires up different Bankless communities all around the world. They will and already are teaching others how to DAO, how to DeFi, and how to help build an inclusive Web3 for everyone. Now, how do we get involved? Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/IMNBankless. Check out our link tree with links to all of the 16 nodes. And you can also join the International Mini Node section on the BanklessDAO Discord. I want to give a shout out to all the members and friends that participate in the IMN in the audience, and also for all the ones that will come. I'd like to wrap up with a beautiful quote from Nelson Mandela. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his language, then that goes to his heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ornella. Just fantastic summary of the IMN project. BanklessDAO and the Bankless brand truly is a globally recognized movement, and it's thanks to projects like the IMN project that will continue to spread that message all across the world. If you'd like to take a look at what Ornella talked about, she has a tweet thread that has been pinned on the Twitter Spaces event. But moving on to the next project we'd like to highlight is Dowdash. So Saul, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. GM. You hear me okay?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
Awesome. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about Dowdash and what exactly that is. So Dowdash is a data analytics and insights aggregator that provides the critical information for DAO health. But before I get into more details on what it actually is, I think it's really important to talk about why we built it. Fast forward and looking back to season 1, we had really been relying on mostly on-chain data, looking at financial metrics, and we wanted to look closer at the community health and our governance. And if you kind of double click on that, we started looking at our tipping data. So we built this Discord bot, and we started to notice that teams were forming and emerging and recognizing each other's contributions. And we quickly realized that it was the social data that was really the signals that we needed in order to, really get a sense of what our DAO health looks like. So when we talk about DAO health, we're really talking about 3 things. We're talking about financial health, community health, and governance health. And we built Dowdash in a way that allows you to look at all the same data points that are based on the tools you're already using. So we have integrations with Discord, with Snapshot, with POAP, with Coordinate, and of course with on-chain data. We're actually built our own subgraph, so we're very much Web3 native. We also provide sort of a technical interface for other analysts. So not only do we want to provide these insights to the community and to decision makers, community managers, treasury managers, but we want to empower a community of analysts to sort of evangelize decentralized data intelligence. So what does that actually mean? Well, I would say that we're really hoping to become the preferred Web3 native data platform for DAOs. And we're aspiring to sort of be that decentralized data intelligence layer, right? We want DAOs to be their best selves. And our thesis is that the only way to do that is to be able to track and measure your progress. And we take a holistic approach from DAO Health, looking at financial, community, and governance. So what is kind of the current state of Dowdash? What have we accomplished so far? So Dowdash is currently operational and has been piloted with BanklessDAO since late season 1. And we currently have onboarded about 24 analysts that are actively building dashboards and creating insights for people in our community. We support the onboarding program, our treasury, as well as some other sort of projects. And we're really hoping to scale to new DAOs this season. We have some very exciting DAOs that we're going to be partnering with and onboarding Dowdash to them, about half a dozen this season, and then over a dozen really awesome relationships being formed for planning for season 4. And we're also working on becoming fully Web3 native. So if you want to learn more about this, there's a few ways to get involved. One, if you are already on Discord and BanklessDAO, feel free to hop in the Dowdash project or the Analytic Guild project, say hi. You can reach out to me or Paul, Run the Jewels, or McKettner. Also follow us on Twitter, and that's _Dowdash is our handle. And then there should be a tweet pinned to the spaces where we talk a little bit more in depth about what DAO Health is, and specifically kind of connect the dots on what I ultimately call network health, which, you know, DAOs are social networks operated on the blockchain. Blockchains are graph, so all DAO data is network data. Really interesting thread. Get engaged, ask some questions. Would love to have a conversation with you there. And that's all I got. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Saul. Appreciate the presentation on Dowdash. Really, as anyone knows, if you're building something new, it's important that you take a look at the analytics and make data-driven decisions. And so we at BanklessDAO are very blessed to have such a strong analytics guild and a team focused on helping us make these types of data-driven decisions. And now that's been productized for you guys as well. So you know, take a look at the tweet thread that's pinned by Saul. Or by Dowdash, rather. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out. Speaking of building cool stuff, we have more. And this is sorry, I had a brain fart. Next up, I want to highlight the Bengals Mobile App, which has been basically single-handedly built by NS Human with some help from a few other members along the way. But he's been the powerhouse behind what will eventually be the Bankless Mobile App. So NS Human, tell us what this is.
GM everyone, and happy launch day. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about one of our upcoming releases that establishes a new platform for our products and content, and it's called Bankless Mobile App. It is a very user-friendly way to experience everything that's going on in our DAO and in the crypto space in general. You'll find all the things that you would normally expect coming from us, such as newsletters, weekly roll-ups, podcasts, all kinds of actionable guides, and more content from both BanklessDAO and BanklessHQ. So instead of following all the resources individually, you will now have everything on one screen and right in your pocket. We also partner with some other upcoming products, such as Bankless Academy. So you will be able to learn new things on your smartphone and potentially in the future on your tablet as well. We're working with many more teams inside the DAO to have more partnerships coming. And generally, we anticipate the mobile app to become a single portal for users to experience and to interact with all the new things we produce. As you can see, our community just keeps coming up with more products, and the amount of value is growing exponentially from season to season. So there's a clear demand for a platform that streamlines and organizes these pieces of value for better crypto onboarding experience. There's also a great opportunity to leverage the international media nodes efforts and deliver all this content to devices around the world in the native language of every particular user, completely seamlessly for them. And finally, the app is also connected to the on-chain data. So you can see your bank token earnings, you can scroll through the POAPs you've collected, and in the future, we will also be adding more things to help you track your assets and your progress on your Bankless journey. So we believe this is a great way to follow our mission and to onboard 1 billion people to crypto, because historically, mobile apps have been an instrument to reduce friction for users in various industries and drive the mass adoption that we're looking for. And with time, our goal is to establish a whole ecosystem of applications that are seamlessly interconnected with each other. Also, with the layer 2 becoming more widespread this year, we would like to explore the direction of giving the users the tools that let them participate in the economy of the future without dealing with all the specific knowledge of Web3 infrastructure, so that hopefully we can start climbing the adoption curve by enabling the seamless technology experience that most people would expect from crypto down the road. So the iOS application is currently in beta stage, and it's being tested internally in BanklessDAO. We plan to release the first version to the Apple App Store later this season, aka soon. And the Android version is planned to be developed later in 2022. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out the information in the Twitter threads that should be pinned somewhere under this event. And you'll find some pictures, links, and some other details that I might have not mentioned here. Also, feel free to drop any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. So thanks you, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, NS Human. Imagine the mobile app as the portal to all things Bankless. BanklessHQ produces a ton of valuable content. BanklessDAO produces a ton of content and products and services. So having a way to sort of consolidate that experience into just a mobile app is really a phenomenal way to distribute the mission of going Bankless. So, NS Human, thank you so much for that presentation and the team working on that. The final project that I want to highlight coming out of Season 2 and really making waves in Season 3 is Bankless Consulting. And with that, I'll pass it off to Run the Jewels to tell us what's broken with consulting and why Bankless Consulting is the new model going forward.
Hey, GM, thanks, Frog Monkey. I realize that I am the only thing between more alpha from David and Ryan, so I will leave you with this one last piece. I'm super hyped for all of the projects that have discussed today. Dowdash, International Media Nodes, mobile app, those are awesome. This last piece of alpha is the launch of Bankless Consulting. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why we created Bankless Consulting and what it actually means. Earlier in the show, David mentioned that the BanklessDAO acts as a signal amplifier for him, tells him what's going on in the industry, and provides that type of information. We just launched a tweet thread where we tweeted out a thing that Ryan posted earlier about the Internet of Jobs. Well, we are building the Internet of Jobs here with Bankless Consulting. We are bringing professional services approaches, and we're layering that on top of the Bankless DAO. We have over 15,000 people within the DAO, widely diverse set of talent, and we are harnessing all of those to bring professional services to our clients. We wanted to create a revenue services layer. We wanted to bring the power of Bankless DAO and the knowledge of everybody on this call to the world of Web3 and help to onboard 1 billion people into crypto. And so we thought that this would be the way. And we are also able to start bringing revenue into the DAO treasury as well. So 10% of all of our profits go back to the DAO as a tribute for allowing us to be a sub DAO. So what does this mean? We've launched. We're open for business today. Our website has launched. Our socials have launched. We even have our first client, and I'd like to thank John from the Refi Podcast Project. He's allowed us to work with him on his growth marketing strategy and his podcast hatchery. And he's working on a regenerative state of DeFi. So really working with with climate change and building the money Legos on top of that. So super excited for that. Congratulations to him. So what are we doing about consulting? Why is this different? We all came from a consulting background. We've done all of the work with the big four consulting companies. We know that these models are broken. They're very top heavy. They work off of they make money off of the backs of the junior associates. We are flipping the model upside down, and we're doing that for the DAO. We are creating mechanisms for people to earn money, earn crypto for doing client work, where over 70% of the value goes directly to the people doing the work without the overhead of traditional consulting. It's broken. We know it. We know that the great resignation is coming, and it's happening, and the talent is fleeing. We want to capture that talent, apply it within Web3, and apply those services for the clients of Bankless DAO. So we're very excited about that. So we're working for DAOs, for Web3 protocols, for traditional companies that are looking to get into crypto, the crypto curious, the DAO curious. We would like to be the advisory that they go to, the #1 name in the space. And that's something that we're setting out to do starting today. So how do you get involved? If you have a background, if you're interested in working on client projects within this framework, if you're in Discord, you can go to the BC Start Here channel at the bottom of the Discord. If you're not, you can fill out the form on our website. You can DM us on our Twitter handle. And we're really excited to have you. We're looking for people, either you've had professional consulting experience, that's great. We would love to have you. Or if you're a developer, if you're a writer, if you have AV, if you have any of these things, any of the skills within any of our guilds, and you're looking to get involved, reach out. We're here for you. It's a way to earn crypto from our clients, and it's super exciting. So that's all the alpha that I wanted to launch. Super excited for this. Really, really looking forward to what's coming ahead. We have a fantastic team of people. Come introduce yourself, say hello. And with that, I will pass it back over.
Thank you, Run the Jewels, for that presentation on Bankless Consulting. I've seen Bankless Consulting evolve and grow within Discord, and it's just a phenomenal team of people there. I mean, put a bunch of MBAs in a room together, and of course, you're going to have just intense, conversations, and just being able to build out something so vast in scope in such a short period of time. So very excited to see how Bankless Consulting evolves in season 3. And with that, that wraps up sort of the season 2, season 3 focus on all things BanklessDAO. Again, this is just a sampling of what we've been able to accomplish in season 2, and a sampling of what we sort of have going forward in season 3. There's still a ton of things behind the scenes that we haven't even gotten around to talking about, but that is the deep alpha for people that are active in BanklessDAO that know what all of the sort of up and coming initiatives are. And so with that, I want to pass it off to Ryan and David again, and just have them close out with maybe their thoughts on what BanklessDAO has been able to accomplish. And I mean, keep in mind, guys, we started in May 2021. It's January. What is that, like? 8-9 months, and we've been able to accomplish so much, and we have so much enthusiasm and vitality to grow. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm blown away. I'm so excited by DAOs as a concept, and I'm very impressed with BanklessDAO. So again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to attend. I'll pass it on to Ryan and Dave to close this out. Yeah, that's it for me. So have a phenomenal weekend. And if you would like to join the after party, go back to that admin thread and click on that Discord link, and we'll be hanging out in Discord, just chatting afterwards. All right, Ryan, David, floor is yours.
Absolutely amazing, guys. And Frog, nice job emceeing this whole thing. This has been extremely smooth. I think the biggest thought that I have just experiencing just all the different activities that are going on is that it's really, really important that BanklessDAO is doing this out in the open as it is. Kind of like what I was saying at the beginning, where I've just been using BanklessDAO as an exemplar model for how DAOs work and to answer people's questions as to like what this whole DAO thing is. BanklessDAO is a great answer for that. And doing this in an inside out fashion where we have a Twitter space so people can view us externally and see what we're up to, seeing the trials that the DAO is being faced with and how it's overcoming them. The BanklessDAO is going to be maximally successful if every other DAO also is maximally successful. This is like straight, we all gonna make it energy. And the BanklessDAO is learning the hard lessons of DAOs first before anyone else. And so I think it's just fantastic that there's a culture of transparency and exporting our lessons to the rest of the DAO ecosystem, because I'm sure there are just dozens and dozens of other DAO leaders from other DAOs in this space taking notes about how BanklessDAO solved the problems that they solved. So Frog and Lucas and all the other leaders and contributors to BanklessDAO, just thank you for doing this out in the open. And I hope people consider when they move into season 3 how BanklessDAO can more easily export its lessons to other DAOs, because then those DAOs can also have lessons and learn to go overcome their trials, and maybe they can start solving some problems that BanklessDAO will face in their future. So this culture of transparency and openness and collaboration is definitely something to lean into, and I'm just super honored that the contributors here have chosen to contribute to BanklessDAO. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, good thoughts, David. I guess I would just echo, blown away once again at what BanklessDAO is doing. When we first seeded the idea of a DAO, it was because we knew we had a big mission to try to get this bankless movement to 1 billion people, and we knew that like we couldn't do it alone, right? We were already starting so many initiatives, like how do we translate content into different languages, and what's the team we need to put together for that. It was just getting overwhelming from an operational perspective. So we decided to use this primitive called a DAO to help scale this movement. And I'm just blown away that it's actually like working. Like we have 12 multiple languages now. I don't know how many dozens of languages Bankless content has been translated into. It's like here, boom. We have a mobile app now, boom. We have assets that allow easy entry and exposure into DeFi, the GMI index and the DPI, boom, it's just happening. That's exciting to me. It's also exciting that the future opportunity for BanklessDAO, because I do believe we are at the nexus of so many different things. DAOs, for instance, as a whole, haven't had their moment in crypto, right? Kind of their narrative moment, the moment that NFTs had in 2021, which is when mainstream looks at the structure and goes, okay, I see how this is going to change everything. And I think that's still ahead for us. Social tokens haven't had their moment. The ownership economy. I did a podcast with Legion from Variant, and she's very bullish on this concept of the ownership economy. And I feel like BanklessDAO is leading the way on that. And I think that's going to be a major trend over the decade. And I guess I'll just sort of echo something that was said. Like I do feel like we're sort of in this mode with crypto where if we build it, they will come. Like it's really starting to happen with crypto. The world is coming to us. I mean, we just saw yesterday that Twitter integrated NFTs. Okay, Facebook and Instagram, they're doing that next. And so I look at the opportunity landscape for BanklessDAO, and it just keeps expanding. I mean, all of these Web3 native, crypto native tools that are coming on the horizon, our DAO structure is perfectly positioned to start leveraging them and start using them. So that's all ahead of us too. I'm like the DAO Punks idea is just like taking the NFT primitive and spreading our culture that way. And there'll be countless other opportunities to do this in the future too. So I guess someone mentioned alpha. Any alpha that David and I have is the alpha that's already been stated. Like you want alpha, join BanklessDAO. That is the alpha, guys. When you join, you make the network stronger. We are redefining work. This is how work is going to be done in the metaverse and Web3 in the digital age. You don't have to quit your job to do it. You can just like moonlight, get involved, jump in Discord, and start the journey. And I'm really excited about what the future is going to be for this organization. I'm excited about all the members of this organization. I think there's going to be a BanklessDAO alumni that is going to achieve great things. So yeah, onward to season 3. Frog, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ryan, David, for your thoughts there, and all that you've done in building out the Bankless brand and bringing this community together to really change lives. I really can't, I can't stress how many lives have been materially changed by BanklessDAO. Whether these are people that have made the plunge into Web3 full time, whether they're people that are just being able to explore things that they find interesting in a way that doesn't have all this sort of bureaucratic red tape, or building the right skills in order to be able to dive further into Web3. You mentioned like a sort of BanklessDAO mafia. I mean, I think that will definitely become a thing at some point. But not to take up too much of your time, we are 7 minutes over the intended duration of this event. So I will just wrap things off. Again, if you would like to hang out in the after party after this Twitter Spaces is over, we are on Discord. Just click the link in the administrative thread. You can just go to the BanklessDAO Twitter profile, scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see an admin thread. Click the Discord link there. We'll just be hanging out in the amphitheater stage, just vibing. As for POAPs, so unfortunately, Twitter did rug our rug degen, and we were only able to collect sort of 40 Twitter handles before the API basically rate limited us. So please do fill out the Google form. I'll leave that Google form up for maybe another half an hour, 40 minutes at the top of the next hour. And then we'll just go through and manually distribute those POAPs. So we'll leave that open for a little bit. That's also in the admin thread. And with that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for attending this call. All the speakers, just a phenomenal job in presenting all that we are accomplishing in BanklessDAO, and all the listeners and stuff. Thank you for attending. If you're interested in any of the stuff that we talked about, feel free to reach out to any of the projects. Feel free to reach out to myself, Frog Monkey, or Lucas. And we can try to get you guys plugged into the right places. And most importantly, if you're interested in DAOs, please join BanklessDAO. Just hop in the Discord and go through the first quests and find a guild to get involved with. And people will come and take care of you and help you along the way. So with that, I just want to say have a great weekend. There's something that I typically like to close off all these community calls with, and that is a riff on what Ryan always closes his podcast off with. We're headed west. This is the frontier. It's not for us. It's not for everyone, but for us at BanklessDAO, it is. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Thank you, Frog. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And BanklessDAO strong.